This one's probably going to be a bit of an embarrassing video. Well, at least for me it's embarrassing. I mean, it shouldn't really be embarrassing because it's literally just daydreaming, but I have to talk about this one because it kind of relates a little bit to my last video about feeling old at 22. Today we're going to be talking about maladaptive daydreaming and I guess the effect that it has had on me over the years and how it's kind of led me to waste my life. I thought I'd get on and talk about this. It's kind of something that I've been going through for like a long time, maybe like as long as I can remember, making up all these scenarios and living in my head pretty much. So what is maladaptive daydreaming? It's a coping mechanism that a lot of people who have had trauma or experience mental illness or are neurodivergent, a lot of people use this to kind of escape in their head. So yeah, I'm not like an expert on this. This is just from what I know about it. I'm still very new to the term itself, but I have realized, holy shit, this is what I've been doing my entire life. Basically, like, it kind of separates itself from regular daydreaming because it's kind of like an addiction and it's something that takes up a huge chunk of your life. It's kind of like a daily thing for me and it's become like a ritual. I guess why it's so addictive is because in my head it's like this perfect life, whereas in my real life it kind of sucks day to day, but also in this perfect life it makes up for all these trauma that I have in my day to day. So in my real life, in my head, none of that trauma happened, and things just make up for it. Everything's perfect. Of course it is. It's in my head. These sort of daydreams are very connected to each other and often have like the same sort of plot lines as to things that I've been obsessing over. A lot of it has to do with relationships. I will get into that later on. It's always connected to music, at least for me, and I've found for a lot of other people too. Apparently it's very connected to music. For me, I have a pair of headphones and I put them on and will just like pace around my room which sounds really stupid, but I do, and I will just listen to music and I will like rewind. Like, I have several songs that kind of trigger it for me, or like sort of just really get me into that space, and like I just kind of find myself, and it's like not even something that I think about when I'm doing it. It just happens, and like I just kind of rewind certain parts of the song, and like I will end up playing that part like for 30 minutes straight. It sounds really dumb, but it's kind of just something that happens for me. And I will do this every night, every second night or whatever. And I end up just pacing around my room for like 6 hours straight. Like, and it doesn't feel like 6 hours. It feels like 30 minutes to me, but it ends up being 6 hours. It's really strange. Yeah, it never really happens if I'm sitting still. Like, I feel like I can't do it and sit still. Sometimes I'll feel the urge when I'm like sitting still to be like, I gotta get up and move, or I gotta stare at myself in the mirror. That's another thing. I always stare at myself in the mirror when I do it, and I don't know why that is or what leads me to do that. But it's kind of tied to romantic relationships. I feel like for as long as I can remember, or at least like since my parents divorced when I was 10, romantic relationships have been like the source issue of trauma and my mental health. It makes sense that it's a trigger point for my daydreaming too. I just had that dream of finding someone that, I guess, where all of that doesn't happen to me again, who isn't gonna treat me like shit again, who isn't gonna leave me like my dad left my mom. As long as I can remember, I've had crushes on guys, often who don't like me back. I don't know why that is. I think it's called limerence. I'm pretty sure you would put it in that category, because I do often idealize, and I realize, oh my god, like I realize when I come out of it, like these are very long lasting crushes, often going on years, and I kind of realize when I come out of it, he wasn't all that. But I never do it with like boyfriends that I've had. Like, I never daydream about them. None of them I've never had any maladaptive daydreaming about that. Probably because I knew that they weren't, like, I got to know them and I knew that they weren't perfect. They had flaws and they were human. It was just like crushes that I've had over the years. I think the worst part of it was when I was like a teenager, and that went on for like 4 years. And that got me through the worst of high school or whatever. I got a break for a few years where it didn't happen as much, and then I'd say in my 20s, like late teens, early 20s, it's hit really hard. Came back full swing, and now I do it quite a bit. So that's why I'm saying it's kind of consuming my life, is because I do it so much that it feels like time hasn't moved, and it feels like I've spent so much living this life in my head that I kind of wake up in reality, and it's kind of like I realize that that's not happening and that's not real. So I spent so much time in this life in my head that I've kind of wasted my real life. And I don't get to enjoy the moments that I spend in real life with my friends, or whenever I go out with my friends and I hang out, and could be something as simple as shopping or, you know, just hanging out. I'm not there. Like, I love my friends. It doesn't mean that I don't like them, but I'm never there. I'm never there in the moment. I'm always in my head. I'm like somewhere else, you know, or I'm doing this with someone else. And it's not that I'd rather be doing it with someone else, because like I said, I want to be there with them, but it's also an addiction. And it makes no sense to me. It really doesn't. And I don't know why that is. To give you like an example, I would go out clubbing with my friends for say, and I'd just kind of be there present with my friends, and there'd be like moments where I'd be like, oh yeah, cool, and you know, hang out with my friends or whatever, and then I'd sort of just drift off in my head. And it's also like there's kind of this perfect guy that is in my head, that only lives in my head, right? He's not like a real person. And he's just there, like, and everything else kind of disappears, or he's just there with me and my friends. And it makes no sense as to why that kind of happens. But, and this is where it gets really embarrassing, because it's like, I don't mean to do this. I don't mean to do this. Like, I'm happy, but I don't know why I would ever, like, even if I was in a relationship with a perfect guy, I wouldn't fucking bring him out clubbing with me and my friends. I wouldn't, like, hijack everything with my friends with this fucking guy. Like, I don't know why I kind of have these fantasies, but it's there, and I don't know if there's parts of my life that I'm not happy with, or whether it's just so addictive that I do it. But yeah, that's kind of a part where it kind of takes over my life a little bit. So it's also at the point too where I don't want to engage in hobbies because I'd rather get in my head and daydream. And that's why I made the goal for this year for me to learn new skills and do new things, and at least try and commit myself to that. But I am finding it very, very hard, because I still end up in this space where I'd rather be in my head. And I don't know if it's something I've got to get rid of and got to work on. I don't know if it's a problem. I don't know if I can get rid of it. It's very hard, and it's I've only just sort of realized this is kind of making me a bit unhappy. So yeah, that's the funny thing about it. It's not really like, when I daydream, it's not really the life I necessarily want. It's just a life that in that moment feels better than the life I have. I wouldn't really be happy if things were perfect all the time. I wouldn't grow as a person. Like, I often imagine myself having like conversations with people. Like, I create conversations that never happen in my head, but like I'd have with friends or guys or like whatever, and it's really weird. It's so weird. I don't know why I do it, but I do. And it's just really strange. It feels really crazy, and I feel crazy because of it. So I guess my objective of posting this and embarrassing myself is because I want to know if anyone else experiences this to the level that I do, and if I'm like actually batshit crazy, or whether this is like actually a thing. Is this a thing? Like, and if it is, how do you kind of deal with it? How do you get past it? When you find like an actual relationship or someone, if you are in a relationship, how does that kind of work for you? Like, how do you, like, I currently live at home, so it's fine when I do it, or when I lived out of home, it was fine because I was living alone. But like, if you're like in a relationship, how do you do it and not feel embarrassed? Because I'm scared. What if I meet someone someday and he looks at me like I'm crazy when I do this kind of thing? Or do you just kind of like have to give it up and grow up? Like, I don't know how I'm gonna handle it. So yeah, this one's a hard one to post, but I'm going to, fuck it, why not? So yeah, let me know. Thanks for watching.